sorry I'm so late. Please forgive me. Unfortunately, my power we had a thunderstorm. Power went out. I had some different stuff I was gonna give to y'all, but let me put on my glasses. There's an incident that happened in Reno, and there's an incident that uh, happened in New York. Let's go to this incident that happened in New York.
That was hit. Do you have any information on what the details you might have been on? Was a, is it something that he's doing in the after hours, in his after hours, or I mean, is he still in full capacity as an NYPD officer?
So normally when I hear detail, it means that they're privately hired by, it could be a company that wants police officers in a certain location for something. I've seen it for something like there's a board meeting and they want additional police officers. Or in general, they just want more police officers around that, so they're willing to pay the overtime that these police officers will work. That's normally what I think of when I hear detail, but they do still have full police officer capability. They're still technically, if they see a crime, that they have to relate to act on it as they would a police officer because they can't override that duty as a police officer. But they're normally in an area that's confined to who's ever hired them. I used to hire police officers all the time for special events. You have security, but then you have police officers because a person in uniform, even if they're not in uniform, they're again, in New York, it's harder to get armed security guards, and they also don't have the same training. So sometimes you hire off-duty police officers on the detail, they have the training, you know, they're qualified on the weapon, and they can just work for you for, say, 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever the shift is.
And when it comes to armed detail or armed security of any kind inside of that building, I mean, NFL, Deutsche Bank, Blackstone, KPMG, I imagine those corporations had some very robust security detail inside. When something like this happens, how does it all go down with different security details inside a building like that and then officers coming in?
Yeah, I've done security assessments. I've actually been in NFL offices, but I've done a security assessment for corporations. And when you're in a building like that, a shared building, your security is at your entry points. They normally try to keep it to one entry point. There you have a receptionist, but you have security. And some of these, the CEOs of some of these big companies have their own executive protection details. And they usually sit, again, right when you come into the office, and then they sit by the CEO or the chairman's office, and they have procedures so that if something like this happens, they get in to protect you in a safe place. They lock down the doors. They put, a lot of them are armed. They put their own security at the entryway to make sure that no one's coming in that's a threat. So they have procedures. They probably have safe rooms for people where they can go, and the security falls on top of it. So each of the companies that are in that building probably have their own security, and then you probably have some executive protection details in there for some of the CEOs and other chairmen or the commissioner of the NFL type of thing.
And in terms of that executive protection, what are their capabilities in a situation like this?
A lot of them are off-duty police officers, retired police officers, retired military, retired SEALs, special forces guys. I've worked with a ton of them. And it depends. Some of them just come up through security, but some of them are very well trained, and they've done it a long time. It's kind of a lifestyle. And then, they have details and different types of people. Some of the big executives, you talk about Elon Musk, and he may have a 30-man detail when he moves. And you have drivers, you have people, securing outside rooms. Some of them get very large, depending on the person that you're securing. Some of the details are just maybe 2 or 3 guys. Some CEOs will have one person with them. They'll have a driver that's security that's trained in evasive driving, and then they have one guy walking with them. Some of them have more. So it really depends on the company. And some of the companies, the boards actually require CEOs to have executive protection because you look at when a company's CEO gets injured or something bad happens to them, the stock can actually fall and other things. So some of these companies actually require CEOs to have executive protection. Some of them, they will bring them to the office, they'll be there in the office, they bring them home, they put him away for the night, and he's not going out. And, then
And by the way, this is NBC News, by the way.
some of them, like I said, are very, very good.
Thank you so much, Rob D'Amico. We're going to be checking back with you in a little while. We've also got former ATF Special Agent in Charge, Jim Cavanaugh, with us now. Jim, we've watched so many of these things unfold, and yet every single one of them is different. What are you seeing when you see these images on your screen?
Yeah, just horrible feeling for everybody in New York and that officer and the injured. I'm hoping that we're not going to hear higher numbers, God. I hope it's going to be low numbers. But what it seems to have unfolded is this guy makes his egress into the building, as we see in the photograph, at full stride with the rifle down low. This is an AR-15 variant, 30-round magazine.
Wait a minute, this guy's walking around with an AR and ain't no member of NYPD engagement.
He can swing it over his shoulder. It looks to me that the blue jacket he's wearing, maybe in his right pocket, he's got a couple of extra magazines or a handgun. It looks to be riding a little low. And in ATF, we watch a lot of armed people. That was our life. So, maybe that's what that is. It's hard to tell in just that one photograph. But if you can see the video of it, you probably could discern if that right part of that jacket was drooping a little bit. But when you confront, if the officer confronted him in the first floor, the kiosk where normally the security would be, the rifle's going to win. The rifle's going to win against the pistol. I mean, most of the time, that's the way the outcome's going to be. And we know from the facts that the assailant, who's now deceased, made it up to the 32nd floor. We don't know where the officer was. We don't know if he was on the 32nd floor or if he was in the lobby. But it appears that he got past the officer. So he shot the officer with a rifle, and then he got past the officer at some point, in some way, to be able to kill himself. Now, was he trying to get on to the 33rd floor? Well, I think we have to analyze this when we look at shooters and killers and motives. If this guy was just out for just mass murder of anyone, he's in Manhattan on the street. I mean, this crowd of people. It's always crowded with people. He could shoot all kinds of people if he wanted to on the street. But yet, he strides to this building with the rifle low, like he's not yet confronted who he wants to confront. He's not yet reached the point of confrontation. And that's the way he's walking. So I think he had a purpose and a reason to go to this building. Now, maybe that he had a direct connection with someone in there, and maybe even on the 32nd floor. Maybe he worked there, he fired, worked for the girlfriend, domestic, hated somebody, could be revenge. There's a lot of things it could be. But he's going there for a specific reason in his mind. Now, it could be something simple. He could only get to that floor because the way the elevators were locked. But it's hard for me to believe that he's never been in this building at all, that he made it to the 33rd floor. So maybe it's possible. We don't know for sure yet. We got to hear from Tom Winter and the NBC reporters. But maybe that officer was shot in the lobby, and then this guy made it up to the 32nd floor, and he killed himself. Now, what we're worried about is the shooter injure anybody else. How many rounds did he have with him? The rifle magazine that's sticking out, Gotti, that's a 30-round magazine, pretty standard. Doesn't mean it's full, but, likely it is. That's what the shooters do. And if he has a couple of extra in his coat pocket, I mean, he could easily be carrying 90, 120 rounds with him easily. So he could do a lot of damage if he can, find the people he wants to hurt.
And Jim, I mean, it's such a good point that you make about that. There are so many potential targets on the street, populous places on Earth, and yet, when you see this picture here from your trained eye, it looks like his chest is up. It looks like, I mean, how would you describe what you're seeing here. It doesn't look like this is someone that's afraid or nervous. And again, this is just from a single picture. We don't have the full video. But from your trained eye, what do you see?
Well, so I see it. So many of these things are a result of a suicidal ideation. And in fact, we know as a fact that he committed suicide because the police have told us he shot himself. And he's dead. So we know that. And so when we add the facts in here, we can see that's just what it looks like. It looks like a guy that's suicidal. He knows what's going to happen when he goes in there. That's why he's not afraid. He's suicidal. He's not fearing dying. He wants to die. And he's strolling in there to get to the person or persons he wants to hurt. You know, we say, well, what could be the motive? What could be the motive? The person maybe, you know, have this and this. Everybody has a motive. There's no killing. They all have a motive. Even someone who's under severe distress, mentally, they still have a motive. There's always a motive. We don't always find out the motive, or the motive's not always as clear to us, Gotti, as we'd like it to be, but it's always there. And we can take motive two from targeting and planning and purpose and history that's going to come out and unfold when the NYPD detectives get all the background of this guy. Of course, what they're faced with is the bomb squad's going to have to send a robot in there and kind of pull off his shirt and make sure that he's not wired up and everything. And they're going to have to do the same thing if he had a vehicle and arrived there in some Manhattan street or, you know, back at his home, wherever that may be. Will have to be searched also by bomb squad officers and bomb-trained ATF and FBI agents, so they make sure that nobody else gets injured. Because when a guy's on a suicidal plot, he can also leave things behind, you know, to harm others. And sometimes you find relatives or friends that are injured or murdered at the location as well. So you can't waste time getting back there because sometimes the first violence is at home. And then they go on their mission. But yeah, it's a good point what you're saying there, because you're seeing it as a reporter. You know, what does this tell you? But I think it tells you his purpose. And when we look at the facts we have, I think it tells you it's a suicide. It's a suicide, and it's a suicide with, you know, a homicidal suicide. That's what it is, and that's what he knew how it was going to end. Now, what I'm curious to find out is, did he want it to end on the 32nd floor? Was that of importance to him? You know, I don't know. It may or may not be. It's interesting. But sometimes they get to the place, you know, the place they want to get to die. You know, maybe it was the place that they had their angst at or revenge at or something. But not necessarily so. But it'll be interesting to find out if there was a purpose for him to be on that particular floor in that giant building. You know, with a rifle. You would assume he could, you know, make his way on a stairwell and go to different floors, get on a different elevator. He must have had a code or a card. He must have had some way to get around to those buildings, as you know, and people who live in Manhattan or other big cities know. Sometimes it's not so easy to just go on those elevators and go wherever you want.
No, it ain't.
Jim, you know, there's another timeline that's happening right now, and that is the timeline of getting information out as quickly as possible in this age of rumors spreading almost unchecked. If you're just joining us right now, on the bottom right of your screen, you are seeing the pictures of what NYPD and one of our sources have been characterizing as the lone shooter in this active shooting.
How did this guy walk around in NYPD did not encounter this man until he was inside a building?
Possibly the 32nd floor. But Jim, online, you know, rumors have been circulating and somewhat unchecked. I've seen, you know, things happening on the streets of New York in all of this chaos where people have been saying that there were other people involved, or that there's another suspect that was taken into custody. How critical is it for NYPD to get information out and get some of the details that we've been asking out to the public in the next few hours or so?
Yeah, really, they got to get out there. I mean, they have a great public affairs unit. They need to get out there because you stop a lot of those rumors from spreading around. And every one of these shootings, when I was involved with them as a law enforcement officer, when I go to them or when, you know, we reported on them over the trying to arrest someone. Because what happens is the public sees a plainclothes officer or agent get out of an unmarked car with a rifle, and that agent or detective is responding, and they see that, and they call it in as another shooter. Or, shots echo or sound different in an alley, a building, a street. And so there's all these reports. People, the witnesses are trying to help, and we want their help, but the officers and the commanders on the scene guy, they try to assess that and not just say, oh, there's multiple shooters, That's why, though, they're still sweeping the building because they want to be absolutely sure, but they're not running off half-cocked. I mean, NYPD knows pretty sure this is a lone gunman. And people need to listen to real journalists and not just, wild talk on the internet.
Mr. Kavanaugh, we hope you stick around with us. We're going to continue to monitor this. And speaking of journalists, we have, I believe, Aaron McLaughlin down on the streets of New York as well. Aaron, I'm not sure if you can hear me, but from your vantage point, it seems like you're a little ways back. What do you see there?
Hey there, Dottie. Yeah, just over that way, at least 345 Park Avenue, you can see behind me a very large security presence still in place. I can hear the choppers overhead. We just heard from the New York mayor confirm that multiple people were injured in this attack, that the gunman is dead. We understand from law enforcement authorities those injured includes at least one civilian and at least one police officer. I can tell you that we're also hearing of just complete chaos that unfolded inside the skyscraper at the time of the shooting. A still from inside the offices showed office workers grabbing really anything they could, couches, tables, chairs, to create a barricade to prevent the shooter from entering their place of work. And I was speaking to one man who was standing just where I am right now not long ago. He was waiting. His wife was inside the building. She was being told not to come out. He understood that she was on the 23rd floor, and he was here with the knowledge that there was an active shooter on the presence. She gives you a sense of sort of the terrifying wait for those not only just inside of the skyscraper, but also their loved ones on the outside waiting for word. And now this needs to be done. The lone perpetrator, according to the New York mayor, is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Wow, all of this happening right before rush hour and the hours of rush hour. Is there any indication as to how many people might be in that building? How big is that building? It's the 33rd floor. It's the only piece of information that we have. We also know that it houses the NFL, Blackstone, Deutsche Bank, some other very large multinational corporations. But how many people might still be inside?
It's unclear at this point. The investigation, as you can tell behind you, Dottie, is still very much underway. It's a 44-story skyscraper home to major companies. It is worth noting, though, that today, of course, is Monday. There are people working from home now on a Monday in New York City. So it's unclear if the skyscraper would have been full of office workers at that time. It happened around 6 p.m. in Midtown. I can tell you, I knew something unusual was happening here in Midtown when I looked up and I saw a helicopter swooping down not far from 60th Street, and that's when I knew that there was something strange going on in this. It's very unusual to see helicopters flying down in Midtown, and then sure enough, this active shooter situation was unfolding not far away, and it's very clear from the police presence that we see behind me that they're taking absolutely no chances, that this is a thorough investigation. While the mayor said that this was the work of a lone gunman, they're leaving clearly nothing to chance here tonight, guys.
And New York City, there's only one place on planet Earth like it, and it's a place where news travels so fast. I imagine as you were making your way to the scene, that you were hearing all kinds of different reports as to what was happening, right?
Oh, absolutely. At that point, we knew that there was an active shooter situation in Midtown Manhattan, something that is extremely unusual for this portion of the city. No further details at the time from police officers. I watched as they were scrambling to set up this security perimeter. It was clear that they were still working to assess the situation. I could hear the police officers monitoring their radios for updates. At that point, they were looking for a perpetrator gunshot wound not shortly after from inside the building, and yet there were still people outside with their loved ones inside, waiting for word of exactly what was going on, if their loved ones were okay. It's certainly
And speaking of the people that are inside that building, we've also heard that there were some other buildings in that area that were locked down. Do you know if those people have been allowed to leave, or are there still people in the surrounding buildings that are basically
it's
sheltered in
really
place?
unclear what you're. Yeah, it's really unclear. What you can see here is a very tight security perimeter. You can see they're only allowing law enforcement vehicles towards 345 Park Avenue. From the vantage point where I'm standing right now, it's unclear how far the perimeter extends. But I can tell you it is an extensive perimeter. This is what we would classify as a gold standard response to a situation in which authorities are still trying to assess exactly what took place. We know that, again, it was just a lone perpetrator, a lone gunman, but was he acting in coordination with anyone else? I think that is an open question that authorities seemingly are trying to get to the bottom of. But again, we're waiting for more word from authorities on exactly the nature of their clearly ongoing investigation.
Aaron McLaughlin down there in Manhattan. Aaron, thank you. And I believe our colleague Steve Romo is also nearby, and he's been speaking to witnesses. In fact, I believe he may be speaking to a witness right now. See if he can hear us. What are witnesses saying?
I got able to speak to a couple people who actually were closer to the building and have information. They have the eyewitnesses themselves. We actually have Nikisha Lewis here, who's shared just a harrowing situation with us. Nikisha, thank you for sticking around. If you might just repeat what you told me just a minute ago when you witnessed.
We were in the plaza having dinner. The plaza of the NFL headquarters, and Blackstone is also a nice gathering place for folks who want to have dinner in the evenings. As we were eating and talking amongst ourselves, we heard the shots, and I looked up and I saw the first wall of the first floor shatter. And I realized, oh my God, this is a shootout. It felt like you were in a war zone almost. And I saw a worker run out, but he was running so frantically, I thought he was just trying to get away. By the time he got to us, he said, help, help, I've been shot. And I turned to my left and looked at him and saw he had a wound in his back. And my partner, who was ahead of me, had also looked at him and seen that he had a wound. What looked like an entry wound or exit wound in the front, so it might have gone all the way through. So he helped him down, told him to get his backpack off, and we both just ran on the police took over from there. But it's been literally like the scary situation I've ever been in. I've cried at least 3 times since.
I'm sorry, I can't imagine what it's like to witness something like that. Did you hear any more gunfire after that?
Just that initial round, nothing afterward. It felt like it was a shootout. Like multiple people were shooting.
What was the response around you? Did other people realize what was happening?
Very, very quickly, because it was such rapid fire, like a heavy duty gun or something was involved. So everyone just ran, and then there was a very quick police response. Every agency possibly in the city, so they quickly barricaded the area and told us to keep going further and further back, so we kept getting pushed further down the street.
Did police say anything to you besides that, besides moving you out of the area?
No, but being as inquisitive as I am, I recently, like 5 minutes ago, asked a police officer, this police officer who I saw, if he had died. I did see 3 people being carried out, like almost looking very, very lifeless, or they were looking limp. And I'd asked if the police officer was dead, and she said, the female police officer said she's not aware that he is dead.
Terrifying. I'm sorry that you witnessed that. Do you know other people in the area, or were you just eating lunch there?
Yes, all of our friends, we have a friend group, and we always either have breakfast or dinner in the area. But I just want to say, for the family of that first person who ran out, he looked like he was running to make sure that he makes it home to his family. And he's probably one of the bravest people I've ever seen. Like, he didn't stop until he got to us before he was like, okay, I can't go any further.
Extremely brave of them, and extremely brave of you to reach out and try to help someone in a situation like that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Ms. Lewis. We certainly appreciate it. And Johnny, as you can imagine, there's going to be many more more stories like this that will come out. People who witness different things as police, and now we know federal officials as well, are trying to piece together the timeline of what happened and to try to figure out what exactly took place.
And we see the worst of humanity. We often see the best of people, the best of New York right there in that interview with Stephen Romo. Just a recap. Did she say that she saw three people being pulled out or being carried out of that building? Because we're trying to nail down a little bit more about it.
I won't pause that for now. This is from the Associated Press, ladies and gentlemen, and this is about what happened in Reno earlier today. Let's go.
I want to start with my deepest condolences to the victims and their families, as well as to our entire community. Tragedies like this are horrific for any community on earth, not just for the victims, the first responders, and people who are there, but for everyone else in the community. Violence is not acceptable, especially in our public spaces. Everyone has the right to be safe here. We are committed to ensuring the safety in our city. I want to be clear, the suspect is to blame for this incident. His actions is responsible for the tragedies that he created. This morning at 7:25, Reno police officers responded to the Grand Sierra Resort on the Wisconsin active shooting. Within 2.5 minutes, RPD officers arrived on scene and were able to locate the suspect on the northwest side of the property in a parking lot. The suspect confronted these responding officers with a firearm, and an officer-involved shooting occurred. The bravery and rapid response by our officers stopped the suspect's rampage on innocent victims, which definitely saved lives and prevented additional people from being killed. Officers and personnel from the GSR provided medical aid to the victims until Reno Fire Department arrived on scene. The quick response by the skilled medical professionals ensured immediate treatment and transportation without hesitation to local hospitals. During the incident, one officer sustained minor injuries, most likely from glass fragments. This was the only physical injury our officer received. Officers and deputies from the Reno Police Department, Washoe County Sheriff's Office.
And again, this is from the Associated Press about what happened in Reno earlier today.
And several major federal agencies responded to the scene. I cannot thank our first responders and GSR personnel enough for their rapid response and help in ensuring the victims of this tragedy were involved. The Sparks Police Department will be the primary investigating agency for the officer-involved and the active shooter investigation. And this is part of our county-wide protocol for officer-involved incidents. I would now like to introduce Chief Crawford of the Sparks Police Department to provide more details about the investigation.
Good afternoon. I will provide you information about this incident that is known at this time. The unidentified male suspect was observed in the north part of the property. The suspect continued walking off into the valet area of the DSR. Once at valet, the suspect produced a handgun and pointed it at a group of victims. The suspect's firearm malfunctioned, however, he was able to make it. Once off the hole, the suspect fired multiple times at the group of victims in the valet. In total, 5 people in the valet area sustained gunshot wounds, and 1 victim was pronounced deceased upon scene. 4 other victims were transported to the local area hospital. Of those 4 victims, 1 was declared deceased at the hospital, 2 victims remain in critical condition, and 1 has been released from the hospital. Firearm magazines with him at the time of the shooting. The suspect then fled back to the parking lot, at which time a DSR security officer located the suspect in the parking lot, and the suspect opened fire among security guards. The security officer returned fire at the suspect. The suspect then continued fleeing north through the parking lot. Another victim was driving through the parking lot, and the suspect opened fire on this person, striking the victim. That victim was pronounced deceased upon scene. Reno police officers arrived on scene and located the suspect, where he fired upon officers, striking a patrol vehicle. An officer involved shooting then occurred. Multiple officers from the Reno Police Department discharged their firearms, striking the suspect. The suspect was taken into custody and transported to a local area hospital where he remains in critical condition. In total, 6 victims were shot. 3 of them are now deceased. 2 remain in critical condition, and 1 was released. At this time, we have no reason to believe there is a connection between any of the victims and the suspect, and we have no known motive by the suspect. Our condolences to all persons involved in this tragic incident, especially to the family members of the deceased. The Sparks Police Department is lead on the investigation and will be assisted by the Washington County Sheriff's Office. This is an active investigation. Any new information related to the investigation will be released by the Sparks Police Department through written communication with Foxes. So bring up Mayor Hillary Sheet.
On behalf of the city of Reno, we want to express our condolences to the personal center. With everyone that's been counted about the I want to say thank you so much to the department's responders on verifying the comments and proper incredible action that we took and without the the attitude to like all of you were so fortunate to have all the jurisdictions that were there on the path working with each other. I want to say thank you to the United Department, Dr. Bryant, the governor's office, and Crawford, for contact all morning long, and everyone. So I'm so grateful for this attachment of confidence. I'm so fortunate to have the police department and that's right here. Last but not least, I want to give a reminder that life is very, very fragile. So please let your family, loved ones, friends, because life is very unpredictable. So I just want to condolences to all of you that night. And just I just want to point out that it was very fortunate to have this very close relationship with the DSR and those communities.
possibly against the patients. Inpatient absence percent as well as non-duty EMS supervisor. Nurse station 729, that's 732, some police provided her with their emergencies. At that time, additional 40 units were estimated. In total, 9 officers responded, one from Texas Meadows and one from fire. Mental health transported 4 patients from the scene, one of which was a suspect. 3 other patients with minor injuries declined transport. 2 patients were deceased upon arrival of our crews were not transported. The patients were transported heavy prisoners and did not properly. The first unit on scene was there within 4 minutes. Soon transport time and antibiotics was providing life-saving interventions and prioritized rapid transport of patients before service. I want to express appreciation to the mental health crews, the medical and operational experts during the demanding and dynamic situation. Thank you to the fire department, Texas Meadows Fire, North Lake Fire Protection, and everyone for that as well. We're proud to serve alongside the people law enforcement fire department, provide medical care and transport. And I'd like to introduce Shannon Hill for that.
Okay, and that's the end of that. Let's go back to this here.
Sparking a massive response.
go through this here again.
Tom, this is very much a developing situation here in New York City, and so what we're looking at is the heavy NYPD response. They called a level 3 mobilization. That's one of the highest in the department. The call immediately came out on the air. I've listened to a radio transmission on their encrypted frequencies detailing an officer, believed to be an officer on the paid detail, that was shot at that moment because of the nature of the shooting and what they saw with the individual armed with a long gun. They were able to, at that point, call in all the heavy weapons teams that were in Manhattan, or at least in this area of Manhattan, that's the NYPD long gun teams. There is one police officer that's been shot. That individual's conditions are unknown at this time. There's been a civilian that's been shot. The condition of that individual is not yet known at this time. The NYPD is in the process, along with the fire department of the city of New York, of evacuating people from that building, getting them outside, getting them away from the building. We don't have a specific floor or location, but we are getting some details from the scene that at least some indication that they believe that the individual who's responsible for this is still inside the building. So hopefully they can be able to wrap this up soon. Obviously, there's been a lot of details back and forth.
Yeah, a lot of information there, Tom. We thank you for bringing that to our viewers. Let's break it down, though. We think there is an active shooter with a long gun. Maybe an assault rifle, we don't know. Too early to say from what we understand. Does he shoot the police officer outside or inside the building, or we still don't know?
We still don't know that. Whether that was a detail officer that was there for security and this individual makes his way up, or if this individual was posted in a specific office. There's some major multinational corporations here, Tom, the types of corporations that we would hear about on a day-to-day basis. This is where those companies are located on Park Avenue, as you well know. All I can say is that based on that initial radio transmission that I heard, the NYPD officers that initially responded certainly knew the gravity of the situation, and to call...
I'm going to have to retitle this as well.
Developed after the incidents in Europe, the active shooting incidents, to come to the scene as fast as possible. Basically, what most police departments...
And again, this is NBC News Now.
So then I do want to ask you, do we know if the detail officer, and again, I know a lot of this information is just coming in, the detail officer, were they in uniform? Do we have any idea, or if they were just protecting the building as maybe a side job, or maybe even getting paid by the NYPD at the time?
Yeah, so there's some information that's coming in, and I want to be respectful of the fact that there's a family out there right now. There's 4,000 members of this police department wondering how their loved one is potentially doing. But hopefully we're in a situation where we can bring some more information on that soon. I just don't want to get ahead.
Yeah. Was the police officer, do we know the condition of the police officer?
We don't know the conditions of everybody at the moment. I'm hearing potentially some good news on that, but I want to wait until we get a little bit more information. You know, gunshot wounds, just from my experience and history, sometimes we've heard reports initially that somebody is in very grave condition, only for them to come out of the hospital several days later. We've seen instances where somebody's taken to the hospital, it's not initially believed to be serious, and then obviously, given the nature, it's a gunshot wound, difficult things can happen. We're looking at the NYPD doing what they're trained to do, which is not to hang outside the building and wait, but to go in. You got to really kind of push the fight, as they say. I've been out with them when they've trained on these active shooters. You want to get to the location of the shooting as fast as possible and find a way to at least contain that individual at a bare minimum, and you're looking to respond to it.
Yeah, but you look at this video, Tom, and you see the size of the footprint of these buildings. I'm trying to scale these buildings floor by floor to find a single shooter in a building that sometimes is the size of the entire block. We're seeing police officers. You can see some K-9 units as well entering this building. Again, this is 52nd Street, Park Avenue in Midtown Manhattan, known as East Midtown here in the city, just blocks from 30 Rock. From what we understand, a police officer has been shot. Tom, do we have any information that a civilian or anybody else was shot in this as well, or is it just a police
There's
officer?
also a civilian that's been shot. I want to stress that these are preliminary reports coming from the police department as best as they can. They have not reached all floors of this building. The floor that they're most concerned about, they've not gone through the entire floor yet. So I want to be cautious of the fact that I don't want to get another police officer shot here by describing it. We are streaming, we are live, we are online. That's concern number one. Concern number two, of course, is for other individuals that could be located there. So we obviously want to be very clear and as certain as humanly possible as to what floors and what areas were impacted. I can tell you, though, Tom, that Obviously, this is stuff that's concerned at the highest levels, and we do believe that they have an image of the person that they are looking for at this time, that they have an image of the person going into the building potentially with that gun. And so that's more information that we're waiting to confirm at this point, but I think we'll probably, they're probably pretty close to identifying at least an image of the person who they've been looking for.
It looks like they've surrounded the entire block, a perimeter of both ambulances, police cars. You talked about the SRG teams as well that are there. They carry those large vans. You can see a large police van right here pulling up for emergency situations, a mobile command unit, if you will. They're going to surround this building. They're going to put all the forces that they can there. The police, the NYPD, the largest police force in the world, larger than some armies. They have the manpower here, but they want to make sure they get no one hurt and they get everybody out alive that they can. Right, Tom?
That's exactly right, and that's what they're doing right now. They're going floor by floor. The floors they don't believe that they have a problem with. They're in the process right now of getting those individuals out. They've evacuated a number of people. But just for those individual security, I'm not going to say where they're being evacuated to. They are being evacuated. Cell service is generally good right now in Manhattan, so presumably those individuals are able to contact their loved ones and let them know that they're okay. Look, this is something the NYPD has trained for a very long time. An active shooter incident inside of a high-rise, significantly high up in one of these floors, the ability to move both laterally on that floor and vertically as well is a real challenge. And so this is something that they learned after the Bataclan attack, and as a matter of fact, was tabletop at one of the city's most sensitive sites several years ago. Something I was able to witness. So,
and you can see people now, and it's unclear what we're looking at there, but the photographers from our station, WNBC, showing people still in their buildings. Maybe they can't come out, maybe they're too scared to come out, maybe they're just watching. You never know the situation. It's our first time we're seeing those images. I do want to point out to our viewers at home, though, an incident with a long gun in Manhattan would be somewhat strange, because the gun laws here are so strong in the city.
Very strong in NYC.
Incidents like this we don't hear, and that's why when we had the shooting.
Not only are the gun laws strong in NYC, New York State has some of the strongest gun laws in the country. Let's get back into it.
With Luigi Mangione and the CEO of United Health, it was so rare for an act of violence like that to occur in Manhattan and Midtown especially.
Totally, Tom. I mean, if I were to see somebody walking down the street, not a plainclothes police officer or uniformed officer with a long gun, I would know immediately that individual was up to no good. It's just not something that's part of what exists here in New York City. It's totally illegal. And so, yeah, anytime you see something like that, that would get somebody's attention. And I have a strong sense, at least on some of the preliminary information we're getting on the investigation, that's exactly what happened. A New York City police officer saw somebody with a long gun, clearly not dressed as a police officer, and that was the moment to immediately confront this individual. What we hope at this point is that this incident has stopped, but as we know, unfortunately, far too often from that.
And when you say stopped, either they've taken down the shooter or he's in custody, but we don't know that yet.
He's deceased or any of those things. What we hope is that there's not any other individuals that were shot in the process of him, conducting what he was conducting today. So, again, we're waiting on more information. We will get the police officers enter the building. I believe that's the building in question. As we noted, some of the most high-profile companies.
Do we know any of them? Are they household names? Are they names people would know at home? Are they businesses? Big businesses?
Blackstone,
okay.
Several other major multinational corporations.
So many corporations have their headquarters or have satellite offices here, especially in Midtown Manhattan. It's a place where people come in where they've been for decades doing business, and a lot of big companies are headquartered. It's unclear what the motives are here. We don't have a whole lot. What we know, we have reports so far. What we know is that apparently a gunman with a long gun, possibly an assault rifle, has shot a police officer. It is unclear how that police officer is doing. It was a police officer who was on detail at that building, and has shot at least one other person.
That's correct.
And has shot at least one other person we believe to be a civilian. As you can see from the pictures here, there are police and ambulances that have formed a giant perimeter around East Midtown. This is 52nd Street and Park Avenue. You know Midtown Manhattan right now, one of the busiest areas of Midtown on the east side, not too far from places like St. Patrick's Cathedral, places like 30 Rockefeller Plaza. A lot of businesses are down there as well, lots of restaurants. Not so much residential, more businesses. Further east you get, you'll start to hit some apartments and condo high-rises, but this is mostly businesses. So there are people right now who've seen them in their windows that are likely stuck in their building because it's a little too dangerous to get out right now. Or they're curious to see what happens here because again, a scene like this, even though it's the biggest city in the world, a scene like this where you have an active shooter in the middle of
I want to go through someone else who's talking about this. Her name is Pop. Is Pop Crime TV. It's Pop Crime TV. Let's see what she's saying.
Often interacted with security at the city. NYPD officers are free to do this with permission from the overall force, and that is why that off-duty officer there is working as security for the building. We know that. We also know that the suspect in all this was identified as Shane Tamura of Nevada.
Yeah, we know.
Two people briefed on the investigation, telling that to the sources say they get some of these
What a
pieces of
coward.
information, some of these
Coward.
details. The press conference, though, here on Live Now, we do rely on Fox 5 New York, on the Fox News channel, and also on the Associated Press to bring in some of this reporting in real time when it is confirmed here. The Fire Department of New York said emergency crews were called to the Park Avenue office building around 6:30 p.m. local time this afternoon for a report of someone shot. Remember, this is the headquarters of Blackstone, the major hedge fund, also the New York headquarters of the NFL there, too. So it does look like we are anticipating this press conference. Hasn't gotten underway just yet. You do see there some of these law enforcement officials getting ready to brief the media. We do have some of our
Oh
law
my gosh,
enforcement
you're
analysts
so
and experts
right, Bernadette. Oh my
being in
gosh.
place here on standby. They're going to help us make sense of what was said during this. We're going to break it down. We're going to try to tease out some of the strands in the investigation that goes on from here. But I think that was the question I was asking how Kemper. How does this happen? The why in all of this? How does a guy walk into a major New York City office building with that type of weapon, carry out this rampage? What was his motive? Now, motive may be too early to tell.
They got us already, and now they're taking forever. I'm gonna keep digging right now.
When they're just hours old, I know about the motive, that's the why. And that's part of the investigation that they have to figure out still. These law enforcement analysts who are going to be briefing us momentarily. You also see there, looks like the white medical coat, that seems to be a representative from your Presbyterian Hospital.
Where's the, oh, there's a doctor in
You
the
also see
back.
there the Manhattan District Attorney on the far right there, Alvin Bragg, as well. So, just trying to do my best to recognize.
Oh, well, Alvin
yourself
Bragg is
with
here.
some of these New York City officials, I would imagine we're waiting for the commissioner. We're also waiting for the mayor.
Yeah.
And
Waiting
well,
for the mayor,
maybe
Jessica
we
Kidd,
need
the
to bring in
commissioner.
some of our analysis, some of our expertise here. I don't want to preempt them or cut them off, but as you know, things like this, they're very fluid.
We don't know the motive yet.
These
Hopefully
updates in
soon.
real time. I believe that is yet another high-ranking NYPD official. John Shell is his name.
You know, and that's what's weird. It's like, if he shot the off-duty police officer, and think of how many security guards or people that work in the front desk of buildings. There's usually a crap ton of them. I mean, what, they ducked, or they ran, or whatever?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Here,
thinking.
for the third
This is Manhattan. Manhattan,
I
those buildings in Manhattan
yeah.
are heavy in security.
So you have more.
Sorry, just to make sure we're live. Okay.
So bear with us here. We're going to keep this shot up.
Eh.
So you even see more officials.
Let me
from
pause
the
this for a
hospital where
second. Okay. I did not realize that the building in question was a Blackstone building. Now, they said that this building is on Park Avenue. And in case y'all didn't know, I did stay in New York for a while. One thing about Manhattan buildings, those, those buildings are very, very heavily secured. In some of these buildings on Park Avenue, you need a code or a key card just to get into the building. So how this guy not only got close to a building, because something else that people don't know. NYPD is usually either in plain clothes or out around these buildings, like the Empire State Building, around Penn Station, even around 30 Rock. It's a there is a heavy police presence. The fact that this guy was walking around with an AR and no one didn't engage him until he was inside the building, to me is the craziest thing on the face of the planet. I'm just saying. Let's get back to this lady here.
Some of these victims presumably were
So
treated.
it's Blackstone. It's the Blackstone office, NJ. That's what somebody that I know that works in that
But
building told me.
this is extremely terrible, tragic, story to tell. If you're in New York, you have family in New York, you're thinking about them today, you're calling them to make sure they're okay.
Oh,
And we're going to talk about some of the crime statistics in New York City. The NYPD over the 4th of July holiday, we're touting some of those very statistics. But the number of murders in the city is extremely low this year, in the first half of the year. And then something like this happens,
okay.
and you really can't wrap your head around it. That question, why? Being reported the shooter was a resident of Nevada. All right, here we have it. Here it's
Okay.
in there. Eric Adams.
Finally, let's go, guys.
What you gotta say, Adams?
I'm gonna take notes tomorrow.
It's never gets easy. Always go back to the beginning of my role as mayor. At Harlem Hospital, Officer Nora and Rivera were assassinated. I remember watching the family members enter the hospital and loud
No.
yell that police that was not true. I put it that day when the notification came over from the police division. And we had a number of shots fired, and it was still unraveling what took place. Our hearts are heavy. 5 innocent people shot tonight. Lost 4 souls to a very senseless act of violence, including one of the New York City police department officer as well. Served in the 47th precinct, 36 years old.
Rest in peace to that slain officer.
Immigrant from Bangladesh. And he loved his city.
Aww.
Everyone we spoke to stated he was a person of faith, and a person that believed in God and believed in living out life of a godly person. Who embodies what the city is all about. The pure blue New York of
hired him to do his life on the line. This is his dad on the side. I think about Jordan, my child. It was unimaginable to experience the loss of this magnitude. 3 other innocent civilians are also dead. 2 males and 1 female, and another male that's seriously injured, fighting for his life because violent, despicable attack. Additionally, the shooter is dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot.
Okay, we know.
Earlier,
What happened to the sound?
Who got shot? Who were they? Okay. Oh, he has a gun lesson right now. Please. Okay. He's telling us nothing.
Dang, Fox got some horrible damn audio.
Oh. Okay.
Let me try CBS New York.
Yeah, we'll look up Reno after, Kathy.
Hold on.
5 clicks.
See what CBS New York got to say.
Address.
There we go.
The vehicle he exited is registered in Nevada to Mr. Tamora. Inside of that vehicle, officers found a rifle case with rounds, a loaded revolver, ammunition, and magazines, a backpack, and medication prescribed to Mr. Tamora. The vehicle was searched by our bomb squad and found to be clear of any explosives. The initial investigation shows that Mr. Tamora's vehicle traveled cross country through Colorado on July 26th, then Nebraska and Iowa on July 27th, and then in Columbia, New Jersey as recently as 4:24 p.m. today. The vehicle entered New York City shortly thereafter. According to our law enforcement...
Wait a minute, you tell me this guy drove across the country to do this?
His motives are still under investigation, and we are working to understand why he targeted this particular location. 345 Park Avenue is a commercial office building whose tenants include the NFL, Urban Management, KPMG, and Blackstone. At this time, 4 to 5 victims are deceased,
Blackstone.
including our NYPD cop.
Now, if I remember correctly, Blackstone, if I remember correctly, don't they invest into weapons? Invest into weapons or not? I gotta check that
Our
out.
officer was transferred here to New York Presbyterian along with one male civilian, the lone shooting survivor, who is in critical but stable condition at this time. 2 other civilians, 1 male and 1 female, both deceased.
Let me check on that now.
The 4th civilian is a female who was found dead on the 3rd floor of the location. Additionally, there are 4 other victims being treated for minor injuries sustained in their attempts to flee the scene. Victims' names are being withheld at this time, pending family notification. Officers from our Special Operations Division are currently conducting a secondary sweep of the entire building. I want to be very clear. We believe this to be a lone shooter, and there is no longer an active threat to the public. But today, 4 innocent victims are dead. Among them is NYPD police officer Dita
Islam. 36 years old, 4 years on the job. Officer Islam was married with 2 young boys. His wife is pregnant with their 3rd child.
Mm.
He's assigned to the 470 precinct in the Bronx. He was doing the job we asked him to do. He put himself in harm's way. He made the ultimate sacrifice. Shot in cold blood, wearing a uniform that stood for the promise that he made to this city. He died as he lived, a hero. I want to extend my profound sympathies to all of the victims and their families, and to the brave NYPD cops who today lost a brother. There are still many questions that we have to answer, and we will answer them. But for now, our city is in mourning for the innocent lives lost. May their memories be a blessing.
Patrick Hendry, President of the BBA. This is a devastating night for our city, for our police department. Pure evil came to the heart of our city and struck innocent people. And one of our police officers were protecting those people. We lost 4 people tonight. And our hero brother who gave his life for this city. He was a hardworking police officer who was proud, we know, from hearing from his family, to put on that uniform and shield of a New York City police officer every day and went out and did his job. And he went out every single day to provide for his family, whether it was overtime or whatever he had to do to provide for this family. That's what he did on a daily basis. And his family is devastated. A wife losing a husband who provided for that family. A father who's not going to see his son again. And our hearts of every New York City police officer right now is hurting. We're hurting for our brother police officer who we lost. We're hurting for that family. We're hurting for all the victims and hurting for all the families of the victims. And we're all asking, why? Why did pure evil come here? And we know our police department and our law enforcement partners will work tirelessly to get those answers. But now our job as police officers is to be there for this family, to support them in any way that we can, to come together as a city, to be there for these families of the victims. And we will continue to do that, because that's what New York City police officers do. And we're going to continue as police officers to go out and protect this city, because we know that evil can strike at any time. But police officers are willing to risk their lives to protect everyone in this room and protect everyone in this city. So we ask all New Yorkers to pray for our police officers' family, to pray for all the victims and their families. And we need to stand united going forward. Thank you for covering the story.
We are also joined by our federal partners from ATF to FBI in order to give an opportunity to partner with FBI's, especially in charge of New York City Field Office, Chris Ward.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, on behalf of all the men and women of the FBI, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the victims of this senseless tragedy. And also personally, I want to extend my condolences to the police commissioner. And just please know, ma'am and Mr. Mayor, that you have the full force of FBI New York and the full force of FBI to get to the bottom of the answers. Upon learning of the incident this evening, FBI agents immediately deployed to the scene to assist our NYPD partners. While This remains an NYPD investigation. The FBI's New York office stands ready to provide any and all resources to assist our partners. Initial checks of our internal systems have not revealed any information about the subject. But when and if more information becomes available, we will share what we can, when we can, with the public. Thank you.
This information is under active investigation on criminals of the interview. And as this investigation continues to unfold, we'll be able to answer those questions. But right now, it's an active investigation.
I believe that there were 2 officers in the building working paint detail assignments in different parts of the building. Paint detail is a program that we have set up at the police department that allows companies to hire officers in uniform to provide extra uniform security. I already described what we found in the vehicle, and it's too early in the investigation to discuss anything more. As I said, too early in this investigation to tell, but nothing that we have seen preliminarily. Thank you. I cannot limit to say that our partners in Las Vegas is aware of our mental health history. Just what I said already, it was an M4 rifle, and we also found a revolver in the vehicle with ammunition magazines. We did have a license in the state of Nevada. At this time, it's too early in the investigation to tell.
All right, we just saw the mayor of New York City and also the police commissioner of the NYPD. The mayor actually taking a few deep breaths before he started to speak here tonight. And of course, the police commissioner also looking very solemn as she had to explain to the press that has been assembled at New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell the circumstances of what transpired tonight.
We're following this every development of the investigation. We have a team of reporters at the scene. We'll have a report here on the left.
But the main headline here tonight is they did believe that this shooter acted alone and there is no imminent threat or danger right now in New York City. And of course, we'll bring you the latest in coverage. For now, we'll return you to programming, and our news will start at the top of the hour at 11 o'clock. For updates anytime, go to CBS.
Okay, they just played this. Here we go.
I'm sorry, I know my face is like extra shiny now, but I'll just recap sort of what we just heard based on some of the notes that I took. So Tish said, and she's the commissioner, the NYPD commissioner, she said that the black BMW that he was in was parked between 51st and 52nd Street. So that's about, right, 2.5 or 3 blocks, right, from the Blackstone building. So he parked there, and then he got out and he walked. So again, that's somebody walking with a rifle in their hand at least, 3 blocks. Pretty terrifying. So she said that he walked towards the building, he entered the lobby, and he turned right, and then he opened fire. He tried to shoot a woman that hid behind a pillar, and then what was so terrifying, I literally got chills when she said this, is that he started spraying fire, like out of a Nicolas Cage movie or something. Bad reference, sorry. He said a male was shot in the lobby per the statement he made at the hospital. So, thank God, he lived to tell what happened to him. She also made a comment that a woman walked by him, was able to walk by him unharmed, which is crazy. Kind of reminds me of the Idaho murders and Brian Koberger when he walked by one of the surviving roommates. And then he shot a man on the 33rd floor, and that is Rudin. So I misspoke, that is Rudin, and then he shot himself after he shot a man on the 33rd floor. And then Jessica Tish talked about, what they found in the car. They found his backpack. They found a loaded revolver, medication prescribed to him. They didn't say what kind. And they also made sure to mention that as of July 26th, he started to travel cross country. I didn't quite catch where he traveled from. I wasn't quick enough, but I did see that he was in New Jersey today at 4:24 p.m. before he came right into New York. So he did travel across country. I'll get a bunch of the notes together before tomorrow morning. But wow, I mean, I'll say, living in New York, I did think this was. I thought he was some kind of sleeper, and there were people planted all over the city. But I think this does seem like it's very targeted. But sorry, you guys, I lost it when she was talking about, or he was talking about the police officer who had 2 young boys and his wife is pregnant. That will just never. I will never be okay with that. And again, we don't know about these victims, the other victims that died. There could be, they could all be in similar situations. Obviously, any life that's lost is incredibly tragic. I just hate hearing that these kids, their father was murdered for no reason. Yeah. Was that, I heard Colorado. Was it Colorado that he came from as of the 26th? But yeah, he, did someone say he has schizophrenia? I didn't say that. But maybe that I didn't hear anything about schizophrenia. But again, I'll go through everything, tomorrow. And thank you, Kathy, that's really nice. I appreciate it. So I'll get more info. I will also work to have an expert just pop on and just give, some more details about, what they possibly think motive could be. But look, I think by the morning, we're actually going to, sorry to interrupt, about the schizophrenia. Somebody in the chat said it, okay. I'm like, I didn't think I heard it on the presser. But, so hopefully we'll have a lot more information by the morning. Like I said, I feel like, hopefully by then, they can identify the victims. And I think, that would have been so horrible if they said the victim's names and the family wasn't notified yet. Can you even imagine that? I cannot even imagine that. But we'll know more in the morning. I'll try to get somebody on that, is either, I don't think I can get my source actually talk on the record. Maybe, no, I know exactly who I'm going to talk to. I got this. Okay. I got this. Sorry, prolific. Where did I get what? If you're talking about schizophrenia, I think that's not a thing. Somebody in the chat was just speculating, and that's fine. That didn't come from me. Let me just double check to make sure I'm not missing anything else as of right now. But yeah, that's about it. And I'm also sure that the internet sleuths will have some information that they're going to dig up about this guy. So yeah, I tell you guys, I'm not going to stay up for that long and dig around. I'm sure people will do that for me. I think if anything, I'm just, I'm obviously not in the city, but if I was, I would definitely be down there covering the scene actively to get information for everybody. I would say I do like to dig about stuff like this, but I'm more like, I like to get the answers on the spot, and I like to go kind of, figure things out. But I think that, yeah, we could dig into this guy to try to get his motive, but I feel like, yeah, a lot of this is going to come from maybe some hospital records that we don't have access to. I do find it interesting that Las Vegas contacted the NYPD and they were like, hey, check this out. And yeah, thank you so much. It feels weird, I guess, when something is so sad like this to say in the light. But I appreciate you doing it for me, Kathy. That's really nice. But let me just check on that Reno shooting, because I did hear that as well, and I just want to see if, let me see. 3 dead, several injured. Okay, so this was 8 hours ago. Not that that's horrible. I just didn't know if it was like the exact same time. Shooter opens fire outside of Reno Casino, killing 3, injuring several others. Doesn't really say much of anything here. Yeah, it doesn't really say anything. I think it's just a horrible coincidence that we had 2 shootings in one day. I don't think there's any type of connection. Yeah. Yeah, this is a really good question. If this gun, did they say the gun was, oh, so funny. Did they say the gun was registered to him? Did you guys catch that? If they said that he had, this gun was actually legal? Because I do feel like, my opinion is if somebody wants to get a gun, they will get a gun regardless. But
Yep,
I'm not
they
sure.
will.
I didn't hear them say whether or not this was like a legal weapon. No, Nevada, I feel like, don't they pretty loose gun laws? I think there's a lot of gun ranges there and stuff. Yeah, but I guess that is a really great question. If he had a license, why did he have a license if he had a history of mental health issues? Or, it's also a great point, but wouldn't they say that it was 3D printed? I feel like they would point that out. They would say, we found XYZ, and it, like Mangiomi, it was 3D printed. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. We have a lot of questions that we need answers to. That is for sure. Oh, his license was online. Oh. Really? Well, I will have to find him. But that is troubling. That's really troubling. Maybe these mental health issues were very recent, and he had this gun for a long time. Yeah, Sal, that's what I thought, totally. And honestly, I will say, like, my husband, he told me he's from Michigan, and he said when he first bought a gun, they like to hunt, so he went into, I think it was like, it might even have been like a Walmart or something, and he wanted to get a rifle for hunting, and they basically just checked to see if he was on a no blacklist, and that was it. And then my dummy husband, he's like, and I think dummy because he was like 21 at the time, dummy guy just walked out with a rifle. So I was like, are you on the no-fly list? And he's like, nope. And then they're like, okay. So, yeah. And no, I don't have too much to work on before the live, but I had pulled together. So if you wanted to, what I was planning on for the live, I actually have, many of you might know him, but I scheduled Joseph Scott Morgan, who is a really, really, I would say world-renowned death investigator, to weigh in on Jeffrey Epstein's murder, not suicide, allegedly, and why he believes that his death was not a suicide. And he goes into all of the medical reasons about how his neck was, how he was hung, and all this stuff. So that was my plan. And I'm probably still just going to lead with that, with Joe Scott Morgan. And then I'll brief everybody on this. I'll go to Joe Scott. We'll talk about Epstein for a minute, and then I'll come back to this, and I'll probably get somebody on in law enforcement or former law enforcement. So yeah, I know. I was like, I'm all ready to start just going deep on Epstein, and I was going to go into a lot more about Elaine, the meeting she had, and also her appeal and other things about her 2023 appeal that I think are really interesting, that we haven't really gone over yet. And just, I don't know, and everything that's going on right now with the DOJ and Trump when it comes to Epstein and stupid amount of gaslighting that we are having to endure. So yeah, oh shoot, you know what? I asked him. I was like so just out, like I was just had my head down today about some other things, because I was also covering this sadistic sugar daddy case, which by the way, everybody should check out that video. It's about 20 minutes, and I did it today, but I detail this crazy case out of Manhattan, and it's interesting because some people are like, this is horrifying. I personally think it's horrifying as a woman. Everybody is innocent until proven guilty. But this one guy, people are like, well, he hired these women. He paid them. He told them that he wanted rough sex, and so they should have known. But I don't. In my opinion, I think this was more like torture. Thank you so much, Aspen. That's really good. Thank you. But yeah, watch that video. And I'm going to be covering that case and going to all the hearings. I'm just not going to the one tomorrow because I don't want to drive out there. I'm too tired. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. An Epstein protest, I kind of love that. Diddy, nothing going on with Diddy right now. Diddy is still at the NDC. I mean, as far as I know, he's doing these courses and, trying to just take drug type of courses, domestic violence courses. I'm sure he's doing that to, most likely better himself, but also I'm sure he wants a lighter sentence. So I think, as of right now, that's kind of the latest. And I say that because I don't have anything sensational to add. I can't confirm that he's recording music with Kanye West. There was rumors of that, but no, I can't confirm anything sensational. But Afton, I will check on the Kansas mom stuff. I feel like a plea deal is coming for them. And if you don't know the Kansas mom case, I also have a playlist about that. But I feel like these defendants, they don't want the death penalty on the table for them, and I feel like they don't want death, so they're going to take a plea, release. Let's see. That's my prediction. But let me see what else. You're welcome. And yes, thank you so much. The like button. Yeah. I mean, women are getting poorer and poorer in America. But I don't know what you mean by that. Maybe because I was talking about paid escorts or something. I'm not sure. Yeah. No. What? Wait. This is
Naomi was furious at what
Stop
this
it.
fan did during
My
her victory
man's
celebration
sidebar,
after
and
she
he
won the
feels
women's
like
world
that's
title
worth
at
me.
Evolution.
Not to make this about me, like I'm totally not into something at all, but I kind of feel a little bit, not, I mean, I don't know if you guys were in the chat, but it was me and Sean accidentally brought up that Charlucci was talking about Gene Deal, and how it really started with Gene Deal, allegedly, and then I saw that Sean did this video because I was watching, I think I commented sidebar on it.
Naomi was
You're telling me
furious
that
at
now
what this
Gene
fan
Deal is just like
did during her victory
throwing
celebration
shade in there.
after she won the women's world title at
Crazy.
Evolution.
We might have to call Sean tomorrow. Oh, we are now calling Sean. Okay, I'm gonna hit him up in the morning because I need all of the details. Okay, now I have something to look forward to. Not that, listen, this stuff is just so heavy and it's like it's so sad, but yeah, that's why I'm like, ooh, I want the tea. Oh my gosh, he better not be posting about my. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. We gotta rally around Sean, around Sidebar. Not cool. Because Sean is not a grifter, right? Sean is like a passionate guy who like really, whether or not you agree with him, and I think that this is, like where I'm at. Sean and I, you guys have seen us. We don't agree on everything at all. But he's a good guy, and he's passionate, and he's not fake, and he's not a grifter, and he's not doing things, whatever. Like, it's so, that's why I'm like, you don't mess with him. You do not mess with him. Yes, Tuesday, Thursday live, and thank you so much, Marty. Yeah, set the alarm for 9:30. I'm assuming you're not Eastern time, but yeah, it sounds like we have a lot to discuss, and I would be like sending Sean a link, being like, come on, we need to talk about this. No, I'm not following that. Let me know what that is. But he's calling cheese diabetes. Okay, you're like making me laugh now. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, that guy's disgusting. I wouldn't have minded seeing him get the death penalty. And it's weird. I'm not even like a big DP person, but lately I feel like I'm like oddly okay with certain people if they were to get the death penalty, like Brian Koberger and Stephen Stearns. And you guys, that case is horrible. He was raping his 13-year-old stepdaughter for a really long time, and then he killed her. And her mom, don't even get me started on her mom. Her mom is such neglect. She neglected her child. I'm not going to spread rumors and say, oh, she knew, because I don't actually know. But her daughter, her 13-year-old, was sometimes sleeping with her stepdad. And I don't think the 13-year-old, I don't think Maddie really wanted that. Maddie, so I'm going to go out on a limb. So, oh. Really? Okay. No. Nope. DP on this channel means death penalty. You can just blanket that statement right here. On pop time, DP will always mean death penalty. Hey, Tiff. Yeah, happy. Totally agree. And, I didn't follow that case super closely, but I do think she got some kind of immunity of some kind. I could be wrong, but I'm almost certain that she did. But thank you so much. I appreciate you. But yeah, so, and thanks for everyone coming from academics. But yeah, we have a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, Kathy, don't even get me started on those guys. I think I have a bunch of, I don't have Chris Watts videos, but I do have Wade Wilson videos. Wade Wilson, recently, he looks disgusting. He's like bloated and just nasty, and like if you know this guy, he's so horrible. He killed 2 women in a horrific way. Wade Wilson, he got the death penalty, or he's on death row right now. He didn't get the death penalty yet. He was sentenced to death, excuse me. But it was so gross because all of these women were like writing him in prison, and all, like, how it goes. It's so gross when these women are like, yeah, attracted to these nasty guys. But I guess like one could say he was somewhat attractive, but this is not coming from me. This is just whatever. I mean, he did have tattoos on his face where he had a smile like that. It was so weird. So yeah, I guess you could say that he was like unattractive. Okay, nice Sal. Thanks for being here. And then there was a girl, I forget which account it was, after MJ, maybe you guys brought this to my attention, but she posted like jailhouse photos of him, and it was just so gross. It made me so happy. Oh my gosh. Was it 4,000 women? That is disgusting. That is so gross. Wait, did Wade Wilson OD? Now I have to look this up. Wade Wilson, I mean, let me see. Did he? Am I crazy? I can't find him OD in jail. I don't know. Oh, he survived an overdose while in Lee County Jail in 2023. Okay. Yeah, he's got crazy problems. But yeah, I don't feel bad for him, like at all. Not even a little bit. Nope, I don't. So, okay. Yeah, no, Tiffany, we definitely would have heard if he, wait, is that a name in Deadpool? I feel like maybe it is, because when you Google Wade Wilson, a lot of random stuff comes up. But, oh my gosh, it's 11 o'clock. I guess it's 11 o'clock. And yes, there is so much wrong here if this guy did have issues, mental health issues, and he was able to get it done. But, you know, again, I always say that if somebody wants a gun, they're gonna get a gun. So, you know, obviously, I guess it makes things a lot easier for them if they get it legally. But if they can't, like I said, I firmly just believe they're still gonna find a way to get it, and that's just the fact. If somebody wants it, they're gonna get it, unfortunately. But all right, guys, more in the morning. Everybody be here. 9:30 a.m. We have a lot to discuss, and now we have to add Sean G. So this is gonna be good. All right, guys. Have a great night. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for
Good night.
for also like helping me out with some of this stuff. I know it's so nice to bounce facts off everybody and just make sure that we're all